You just tuned in to Divine Time, the frequency where truth, wisdom, and radical growth collide. I'm your guide, Danli Divine, inviting you into honest conversations that lift the mind and light the soul. Feel the energy? Smash that follow, share the vibe, and hit the link up top to explore everything we've built, with plenty more on the way. Let's ignite the world together. Ready? Let's dive in. Today, we're honored to have Rachael Ross, a powerhouse in the world of health and fitness. Rachael is a celebrity personal trainer and the founder of Concierge Personal Training, an in-home and online training company dedicated to helping people break free from joint pain and embrace a healthier lifestyle. She's also the author of Your Past is Not Your Future, a book that empowers individuals to rewrite their health and wellness journeys. Rachael has been featured on USA News and Good Morning San Diego, where she shares her expert insights and dynamic workouts. Traveling across the country, she transforms lives by guiding people towards sustainable, pain-free living. Get ready for an inspiring conversation on fitness, mindset, and breaking through limitations.
Wonderful.
Butchered it. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, please and thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So what I do is I own a in-home personal training company. We go to people's homes and we help them transform their life and change the way that they see the world, change the way that they do things. And we pride ourselves on helping them change their habits. And we really emphasize making small changes in order to make a large change. So, what that it looks differently. It looks differently for different people. So what that looks like, as far as what I teach people is that, the outside of you really shows what the inside of you is feeling. And, sometimes we make adjustments, and even if, you're not 100% happy with, how you're looking or the way that you feel, as long as you're making positive changes, as long as you're doing and stepping in the right direction, you have to give yourself all the credit in the world for that. And giving yourself the credit leads you to take the next step and the next and the next and so on. And sometimes it's just about doing what you should be on the days that you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, and I'm very familiar with having to get up and do things when you really don't feel like doing it. I mean, I have two kids that are under the age of 6, and
Oh yeah.
it's for me, it's somewhat of a hassle to go to bed after my wife, wake up the same time as her, and then watch her leave, and then still have to take the dogs out, do what I need to do, and then get the kids ready for school. So it's just like then to leave, drop them off at school, go to work, and then come home. I'm just like, you know what? There is a balance. There's a balance somewhere. But I love my little crotch gremlin, so I can't be upset. Today, I want to talk about loving yourself and body positivity, the body positivity journey. Now, with it, I probably don't look like it. I mean, my cheeks are a little, but other than that, I won't say that I'm a heavy set individual. I have a good amount of muscle on me. My issue, though, is my wife likes to call it body dysmorphia. I see myself as something that I guess nobody else really sees me as. And there are a lot of individuals these days to where they don't like the way that they look. In America, you're in America, right?
Yes.
Okay. In America, so you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. The way that they portray beauty, it's somewhat unrealistic in order to be able to obtain and maintain that level of physique, especially with a lot of people working 2-3 jobs and they don't really have the amount of time that they would love to take care of themselves mentally or physically. So a lot of people are come home from a long day, they're tired, they turn on the television or they're scrolling on social media and they're seeing all these girls with the slim little body and everything, or guys with like a,
That's photoshopped.
I mean, it doesn't change the fact of what people see. It doesn't change the fact of what people see.
Right.
So they are being shown this image of what beauty is supposed to look like. And then with a lot of guys not see, with me, I'm like, I don't have a dad bod, I got a father figure. So with it, when it comes down to individuals who get older and their metabolism changes or they start putting on weight or losing muscle, And with women, if they have a little bit of some stretch marks or cellulite on their thighs, and me personally, I'm like, that's natural. Do it, baby. That's natural. But I am a little hypocritical because I see my little love handle. I'm just like, oh,
The stretch mark,
ultimately,
that's a badge of honor. See,
yes. Especially like for me
those are
personally,
cozy.
I told my wife, I was like, when I rub my hand on her stomach, because she has, like I said, we got 2 kids. And she's like, don't rub my stretch marks. I'm like, look, I'm just reading your braille and it says that you love me. So, I mean, it makes me happy. But with it,
Hey,
I want
what
to
your
talk about.
spouse says makes a big difference. That makes a huge difference to a wife. Even those little things, the little
Mhm.
things that you say to your wife, that makes a big difference to her. Because you're only just trying to impress the one guy. You're just trying to, that's the only man you want
Yeah.
physical attention. So what he says to you matters. So that makes a big difference, you saying.
See, if I was a girl, I could agree, but I'm just gonna nod my head because I know as a man, it does mean something. Now, with I can only speak for me. I'm a little weird. When my wife tells me things like, "Oh, you look good," or "You handsome," and everything, in my head, I'm like, "You're my wife. You're supposed to say that." Like, I feel like that comes with your billet description. Uplift your husband.
Yeah.
A wife's duties: uplift the husband. A home. But I wanted to talk about right now. The first topic would be the struggle is real, and the struggle is real when it comes down to trying to maintain a positive outlook on yourself, whether that is physically or mentally. What are some things that you have noticed in your practice, in your profession, when it comes to individuals who are doubting themselves or really talking themselves down about the way that they look? How have you seen it affect individuals physically and mentally?
I mean, I think it runs the gamut through your whole life. So not only does it affect the way that you look, it's gonna it goes further than that. It affects the way that you feel. It affects the way that you interact with other people. It affects your ability to push yourself, your drive, your discipline. I mean, it affects your marriage or your relationships. I would go through and say that it affects almost every aspect of your life. Your ability to be a parent and teach these principles to your kids. If you don't practice them yourself, it's hard to teach body positivity to your children, like never letting your children hear you say like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, or this that, because they're little sponges and they're taking that in. So stopping that cycle for them, if not for just yourself. You don't want something like that continuing. You don't want that carrying on as part of, basically part of you. So I mean, I would say that it affects every aspect of your life. But you can retrain yourself, and you can retrain yourself to think positively about yourself. That is a learned behavior, not something that's innate. It's cultural, it's learned, and it's practiced. And basically the way that you practice, whether you're speaking positively or negatively, you'll continue to go in that spiral, whether it's up or whether it's down. And a lot of that, truthfully, we learn from our parents, or from culture, society, or whatever is influencing us.
Okay. I think one of my biggest mistakes is the way that I think. The Having children, sometimes it's like you don't even need to say anything to them. They can read. I don't know if they're like telepathic. I don't know if they can read the body language, or they can
Yeah.
just read your energy, because they can tell when you're not feeling good. And I've noticed as well that, like, with my daughter, she's very aware, very, very aware, very attentive to what's going on around her. There's times where either me or her mom will be feeling a type of way. Like, my wife, she's the type to where she'll just be like, I need a hug or I need attention. And I'm like, all right, cool. The communication, like, I can't help you if you don't know. If I you don't say anything, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, babe, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay, cool. I'm gonna be like, there's nothing wrong. And then you get mad or hold a grudge because I didn't tend to your needs. You said nothing was wrong. So we work on that communication. And
If anyone says fine, that means something's wrong.
exactly. I mean, when I hear the word fine, I'm like, lie. I feel like Cheese from was it Imaginary Friends?
Yeah.
Like, lie, you lie, woman. But yes, whenever my daughter, she's very good at picking up when someone needs attention.
Mhm.
when someone's doubting themselves, and it's almost as if she knows the right thing to say. And I mean, you know, with children, they're very cute with it too. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, she'll like sometimes just be like, "Mommy, that dress looks pretty on you," or she'll
Oh,
just be like, come over and give like hug her leg because she's only like 3 feet tall. So
oh,
like hug like my wife's knee or something, and just like look up at her, and she'd be like, "You're cute," and I'm just like, "You're so adorable, you little munchkin." Or either she'll see me and she'd be like, "Oh, daddy." I'm like, "What? What?" I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, okay." And I mean, it's you have no choice but to smile. And then I mean, even when you start thinking deeper on those things, it's like, look, even if you don't like yourself, there's somebody out there who likes you the way that you look, likes you for you. And I
yeah.
mean, one thing I always say is I feel like a blind man sees the world for what it truly is, because
Mhm.
they're not judging things based off their eyes. They're feeling the energy. They're listening to the different pitches and tones of what's going on. They're feeling the energy in the room and what's around them.
Mhm.
They're utilizing the senses in a way that us who visually see are being very complacent with the other senses that we have. So we're missing out and relying so much on what we can visually see. Because I feel like physically seeing is probably touching something,
Yeah.
but it is a major struggle to have this fabricated idea of what beauty is, because the individuals who are trying to portray that image of beauty are losing their minds, are hurting themselves just to try and maintain an image. And that's
Right.
one thing that gets me with social media, but I'm not going to roll into that because I got a whole topic on that coming in the future. What I want to talk about now is individuals. How can they reach a turning point? A turning point to where they are like, you know what? Either I don't care what other people think of me, having like an awakening, epiphany on themselves, or either reaching a point to where they're like, you know what, I need to make a change. What are some things you have seen from some of your clients that has caused them to be like, you know what, I need to work on this. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first thing is, for one, realizing that you're doing it. And then two, like, okay, whether it be for myself or for my children, or, there has to be some sort of catalyst in your life that says, like, okay, this needs to stop. Like, I need to change the way that I'm talking to myself about myself, and about my body, wherever you are, and whatever it is that it looks like at that point. But I mean, I think that the big thing is just to start small and start practicing. There are so many helpful resources online that have just like positive affirmations, positive self-talk. I used to love, like, when I was first starting, in fitness and in business, I would listen to Louise Hay all the time, or David McGraw. And I would play like these YouTubes just like over and over and over again. And they would say things like, when I talk to people, I look them in the eye, knowing that I'm equal to them. And so, when I first went into my first like big business meeting, and, was meeting people, that phrase came into my mind, and I looked everybody in the eye, and, shook my hand out and said, "Hi, I'm Rachael Ross." And, and a lot of people were like, "Oh,
Intimidated.
are you running for political office?" Like, wow. And I'm like, "No, that's just who I am." Like, so it really, it can become internalized into you when you hear it so often. It's like you're driving in your car all the time. You're driving to and from work by yourself, or you just dropped off the kids and you're driving by yourself. Turn a YouTube on of some positive body affirmations, and then just listen to them subconsciously first, then listen to them consciously, and then start to adapt them and start to internalize them as being your own. And once you like take them in as, okay, these are mine, like this is me, and this is what I truly think of myself, that's when the real change will occur. I think that, that's the biggest turning point for people, because, first you recognize, okay, there's a problem here. Secondly, you decide today's the day I'm going to change. And third, then you start taking small actionable steps to make that change. So whether it be something like doing positive affirmations, or whether it be starting a small exercise routine, just something very small, 10 minutes, a 20-minute walk on your lunch break, just a little something where you can get outside and do something positive for your body, that will make you feel so much better. You can do something a little bit bigger. You can download an app. There's a great like Lose It app. Those are free calorie tracking apps that you can download and start tracking your calories. And then you can feel like, you know what, maybe my body isn't, this Photoshop body, but I'm taking steps to put myself in that direction. And that's what I want myself to see, because really you're trying to prove it to yourself. That's what I want myself to see. That's what I want my kids to see, is they see me, making positive changes and taking positive steps. And I think that's where the turning point really happens for people.
Okay. I love the fact that you said working on it daily. Working on it daily about 7, 8 years ago, I started 3 daily rules that I would accomplish every day. The first one was every day I strive to bring a smile to at least one person's face. Every day I strive to influence somebody, at least one person, on a positive level. And every day I strive to be at least 1% greater than I was before and learn something new. For if not, then I'm getting old. That one was for my mom. She always told me that when I was younger. But with those 3 daily rules, it got to the point where I'm accomplishing them multiple times a day. Now, here we are like 7, 8 years later. I don't even try to do the rules, and it's just a part of who I am.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand and agree completely about the positive affirmations. The affirmations, it's almost as if you're reprogramming your DNA. You're reprogramming your mind as well as the way that you do things. Because when you start reprogramming your mind, you look at things differently than how you used to. It's like your eyes are going to open. And I mean, you won't be seeing things in the same tone that they were before. That was one thing that I really had to work on, and how I reached my turning point. And my turning point was a little different because I've always been a very active and physically fit individual. And even now, I'm not, I don't think that's a word, but I'm physically fit.
Right.
I'm still very active, not as active as I would like to be. And I'm not going to lie, my kids make me feel old sometimes, but hey, our knees don't work the same.
Right.
I've got experience, and theirs are still oiled up. When I sit here and I think about the age that I am and realize, you know what, I'm not as strong or as slim and as muscular as I used to be, or at least I don't look like it. I could probably get back to that. However, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to miss, because in order for me to attain that, I'm going to have to make a lot of sacrifices to be able to do what I need to do in order to reach that level again. And as of right now, it's like, you know what? I had the time, had the ability, and me doing those things was not a sacrifice as it would be now. So I have to think, is the gain going to outweigh the loss? Am I going to gain something that's going to be positive for me in the long run? And what is it that I'm going to lose? For me, I'm going to lose a lot of time with my family. I'm going to possibly have some hospital bills due to the fact that my body don't move the way it used to. I'm a Muay Thai fighter. There's things that I cannot do anymore, or I should not do anymore, should I say. And with that, I had to really sit here and say, you know what? I'm going to continue working out, but I cannot work out 3 to 4 times a day anymore.
Right.
I cannot be doing these 5-mile runs and aiming for 500 plus push-ups and sit-ups a day. I cannot find pull-up bars and do calisthenics like I used to. I mean, as much as I would love to, parentheses, hurt myself, parentheses, there's things that I cannot do. I had to realize, you know what? I'm going to get older, and as I get older, I need to learn to embrace the imperfections.
Right.
And embracing those imperfections is recognizing that, okay, cool, I may not look the way that I was hoping in my mind, but also at the same time, I need to be realistic.
Right.
And being realistic, I still look pretty damn good for the age that I am. I be getting hit on by like people who are like 10, 15 years younger than me. I'm like, nah, I'm good. You weren't even born when I graduated high school. Leave me alone. embracing the imperfections for me is realizing and noticing that it's impossible not to age when we're on this planet. In this lifetime, none of us are Peter Pan. We're not on Never Never Land.
Right.
And I mean, if you want to think of it like that, Captain Cook got our asses because we still getting wrinkles from time to time.
Right.
So I want to hear to you about embracing imperfections. If you had a client come to you today and tell you that they're comfortable, they're not comfortable where they're at, they know they can do better, but they're starting to see they're asking you if they can change a couple things because of the fact that they know that that would be pushing them too far to where they might end up hurting themselves. Or how would you talk to somebody about them doubting themselves or thinking that they look worse than they really do? How would you help them embrace their imperfections? There we go. That's the question I was trying to get out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just be straight up and honest and be transparent about myself. Everybody sees their own imperfections. I'm 42 years old and I don't look like I did when I was 22, but I'm 42. So I'm trying to look healthy and fit for a 42-year-old, not for a 22-year-old. I don't try to put myself into that on purpose because that's unhealthy, because it's not realistic. It's not realistic to my life. I have a 1-year-old and I'm currently pregnant. So my body is changing, but what looks healthy and what is healthy on my body now is not what normally looks, what society says looks healthier or, is super skinny. I have, so that's just embracing the health of what your body should look like now, and like you said before, like embracing the stretch marks and things like that. Like there's nothing you can do about that. You can't change that. So it's like, worrying about those types of things, wrinkles or things like that. It's like everybody in this life is going to age, but I wear 42 like it's a badge of honor because I'm proud of the way that I look. I'm like, I try really hard for my age, and I make health and fitness a priority in my life, but I still have, like God and my family and being a mother as my ones as the forefront. I have my business and, and I have friends and, family and work life balance, and then I still have exercise. So it's about, figure out your priorities, balancing them out time wise, and then dedicating the appropriate amount of time to them based on where you are in your life. If you're in your 20s, sure, you got all kinds of time. You're in your 30s, sure, great. If you're newly married, you and your spouse, you do it together. If you have small kids, we go for a walk every single day. And, we have a little gym in our house and we work out here at the house, with my daughter. I work out in the living room and she's right there with me. And, but I think that that's great because I think that she sees that, and she's gonna, grow up doing that, and she's gonna grow up seeing that. Oh, this is what you do. This is what mommy does. So, for people that, feel, the imperfections coming in, or they once were, this great football or track star or whatever, like, you don't live in your glory days forever. Everybody ages and everybody gets older, and that's the natural part of life. But it's about figuring out the balance of your life now, and then that constantly shifts. So that's going to shift again as soon as this new baby comes. For me personally, and in your life, it's like now your kids are in school, so you have a little bit of time there. So it's about figuring out the new balance of your life, your priorities, and where they are, and then how you're going to spend your time based on those priorities, based on your goals.
I love that. I love that. Another thing that I want to bring up as well when it comes down to embracing your imperfections, we need to really encourage everybody out there to challenge their negative thoughts and embrace more of their individuality, because nobody is the same.
Right.
We all have different body types. We all have different physiques. It would be foolish for you. That's like me thinking that I can be your size. And by the way, congratulations.
Ah, thank
I'm
you.
like,
I gotta share the.
hey, I remember those days. It was, I don't want to get off topic, but I remember when my wife was pregnant and it was like she looked normal because she was like this big, and then she turned sideways and everybody was just like, they're like, yo, she was like, yeah. But yo, pregnancy is an amazing thing. Pregnancy is an amazing thing. But yes, when it comes down to embracing our imperfections, we need to be able to encourage other individuals as well as ourselves that we all have our own uniqueness. And that's one of the things that makes us beautiful. Because if everybody looked the same, then there would not be a definition of beauty because everything is symmetrical.
Right.
So, I mean, in all honesty, we are all beautiful. And they say that one man's trash is another person's treasure. And it's honestly true because the things that I may like, your husband may not like.
Right.
The things that you like, my wife may not like. So we all need to be unique. Be yourself and love yourself, because ultimately who you are is what's going to make you attractive to somebody else.
Absolutely.
If you're doubting yourself, it's going to be easy for other people to skip right over you. Nobody really likes being around a Debbie Downer unless they're a Debbie Downer too, because then they're going to sit here and play off, oh, the woe is me, who's worse type thing.
Right. A tip for people in their 20s: confidence is the sexiest thing about somebody. Always.
Okay. I'm a little past my 20s, but I'll take that. My wife will come home. I'm like,
I think that the way that you carry yourself, it, like I kind of feel like if the way that you carry yourself, like as long as you're semi-decent looking, people are like, oh, well, you're so confident and you're so happy with yourself. I'm happy with you too.
And that's the thing though, because I'm like, everybody
jump on your bandwagon.
True. I tell my daughter that all the time, like when we're at the park and she's like, nobody wants to play with me. I was like, well, then just have fun playing by yourself and everybody else will gravitate towards you. And that's what she's got in the habit of doing. And I do the same thing. Like either way, I'm different. I can, if you ever see me out in town and I'm having a good time, I'm probably by myself. But with it, when it comes down to individuals, I personally believe that everybody is beautiful. Now with it, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and we all don't have the same eyes. Right. Like I can look at somebody and be like, not my type, because I'm never going to call anybody ugly. Because for me to discredit this person and say that they're ugly, it's easy for somebody else to say that I'm ugly. And I've reached a point in my life to where I'm a pretty handsome individual. Like I'm not like a hey girl, how you doing? But I'm like a okay, yeah, I can look at myself for a second too long. All right, so everybody is beautiful. And I mean, once you believe it yourself, then that love and beauty that you are seeing on yourself will start radiating out to other people. Absolutely. To where now they'll feel the love before they actually see the love. And a lot of times I've seen people who are in long-term relationships, like 20, 30 plus years. And I'll talk to a couple of the guys, by the way. I love older people. They are so raw. The guy, I was just like, so what is the key? He was like, in all honesty, he was like, I don't even look at her no more. I was like, what? He was like, yes, because you always remember what she looked like when y'all met. And that will not look like the same person. He was like, so with that, I look at her, pretty much look in her, remembering and seeing all the things that they have done together and not trying to put it into a physical aspect, looking into the person's spirit, looking into the person's soul. I was like, that's deep and beautiful. Yeah. I was like, dang. So you mean to tell me like, even if she like was bald and like, he was like, in all honesty, you can call me Ray Charles at that point. I was just like, dang. So, I mean, the way that we think of beauty and the way that we look at love, that's the reason why in the beginning I said that I feel a blind person sees the world for what it truly is. We're so hooked up on the physical or the visual of what things look like. We are so blinded by what's really beautiful. And that's right. The smells, that's the feels, that's the other senses, because these right here, if they left, you would find the world to be such a much more beautiful place, because now you'll be noticing the nature. You'll be smelling the roses and flowers and probably some of the shit stuck on the bottom of people's shoes as they're walking by too. But it's we are truly blind by having sight. We're cut off from everything else. And that right there is one of the things that I've learned the most about looking at people. We all are unique. If you stop trying to find the flaws in people, you can find the beauty in one another. We need to bring more love back. We're lacking a lot of that. And trying to put things into categories is going to make it to where it's harder to truly love.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I want to roll into next is the power of community. How important it is to have a supportive community and also positive role models.
Yeah.
What can you add to what can you say about that one?
Yeah, I would say definitely trying to surround yourself, with positive people in your life is one. And who you choose as a partner, as a life partner, as a spouse is going to be your always, everybody says this, but it's so true. It's going to be your biggest decision because they're either going to be your downfall or your cheerleader. So, who you pick to basically spend your life with and to spend almost every day of the rest of your life is just going to be that's going to be the hugest decision that you make. And for us, for my husband and I, it's, you know of course we're both fitness people, and so we've made that, a priority in
Yes.
our relationship. And so that's something that stays with us, and we know we're going to age. We already have. I mean, we're going to continue to age, but if we keep that, as, one of the pillars like of our relationship and one of the things that we do together. But it's got to be deeper than that. It's got to be, there's got to be love there. There's got to be trust. There's got to be communication, and then, as far as, building a community, you
Yes.
can, sometimes you have family members or, people that bosses or whoever, people that you can't really get away from, that
Mhm.
are negative or that you hear talking, negatively about themselves. You just be the cup half full person in their life, and try to be the cup filler for them, and try to pour into them. And, that might be the only positive thing that they hear from anyone, including themselves, like that. And
Mhm.
you can be that person for them. And basically you're teaching them and you're showing them how to be that person for themselves. And then, and with people that are reciprocal, you can pour into them. And if it's a good relationship, it's a good friendship, they'll pour back into you. And it's about, finding those kind of relationships, those kinds of copacetic relationships where people have your same value and your same value system. And, nobody's positive 100% of the time, and you're not going to get that. But, for myself personally, I err on, being positive 90% of the time, because if you just shift your perspective on a lot of things, it can be positive. You could make situations that are seemingly bad, a rainy day, you can make them
Yeah.
wonderful, and go outside and, be in the puddles and put
Dancing in the rain.
I mean, you can make it wonderful, or you
Yes.
can make it the worst day of your life, like, so
Yeah.
it's all in your perspective. And, and I think it's a lot of who you choose to surround yourself with and the things that you choose to listen to and hear. I kind of put that under community because, scrolling your social media, you're just subject to whatever pops out at your face, and you don't need that. You don't need all of this, flying at your face. You don't need commercials. You can control, 90% of the advertising that comes at you just by not looking at it, not, or deleting the app from your phone if it's too much of a temptation, or limiting the time that you look at that, and it's not just social media, but, there's, lots of other avenues that, you let come at you that you can either discipline yourself to, to not be around or to stop, and try to be conscious about what's coming at you, what's coming into your life, who is coming into your life, and who you choose, as a life partner and as friends, and who you choose to be part of your community.
That is I have really nothing to say. Like you,
To add.
not to be the dead horse, but yo, she got it. Tell me a little bit about how you got into starting your business of concierge personal training.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved I love building people up.
Mhm.
I love rehab, and the way that, you know, I grew my company was I care about people. I want people to be better. I want people to live more fulfilled lives. I want people to
Mhm.
not be in pain. I want them to be able to live this life that I live, that's fulfilled, that's happy, that's healthy. I
Yes.
want people to be able to experience that. And a lot of times people can't because they're in pain, you know. And so basically, the way that I started to grow my company was by helping people get out of physical pain by using
Mm.
like therapeutic physical therapy type exercises, teaching people daily stretches and exercises, things that they could do, and then helping people basically take small steps and then just be really proud of themselves for taking those steps, and then, you know, using that to sort of snowball itself into this new person, and into these new habits, this new mindset of being healthier. And, you know, so then my business has grown exponentially. You know, when you can get people out of pain,
Mhm.
word travels real fast. So I quickly grew my company, and now it's me, and I have 14 people that work for me,
Nice.
physical therapists, body workers, personal trainers, and in-home massage therapists, and online Zoom trainers.
Oh
So
my gosh.
so we have the big thing that we're launching now, and the big thing that I'm focusing on is trying to bring this message that anybody can be pain free, and that, you know, anybody can live a life that is better than the one that they're living now, that is just more aware, more conscious, more healthy. And yeah, and you can get all the resources online, and it's relatively cheap to do. The exercises are simple. People feel like it's got to be complicated. It's got to be an hour. It's got to be 2 hours. I have to work out 3 times a day. No, you don't.
No.
You can work out for 30 minutes, you know, and it's going to make a huge difference in the amount of joint pain and knee pain and back pain that your body feels. And it'll just, once you get rid of pain in your life,
Yes.
it opens you up to be able to do so much more. When you have energy, energy is everything. And when you have more energy, you have more energy to play with your kids. It's like, you're not coming down and sitting down and watching TV. You're up, you know, you're doing stuff, you're doing workouts, you're going for walks, you know, you're
Mhm.
like grabbing your life and living it, you know, versus
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's, you know, it's 6 o'clock and I'm scrolling my phone and I'm sitting down on the couch. No, 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 no more of that. You've got energy, and you've got energy to burn. And so you're out doing stuff.
That was when I was active in the Marine Corps. I think I had an officer say it takes energy to get energy. And what I always took from that was you have to be moving to build yourself up to have the energy to keep on going. Because if, how you just stated, if you come home and you're scrolling on your phone or you're just sitting down watching television or playing video games all day, it's going to be very difficult to get out and get active because one, your body's not used to it. So as you're starting to build your body up by moving more, it gets a little easier. It's the same way to where if you oil up a car, you have to move it a little bit so the gears can get that oil everywhere else and it can start moving throughout the vehicle, throughout the gears. And when that happens, the noises will go away. It won't be squeaking so much. I'm like, it won't be doing the clunk clunk. It'll start to move a little smoother. Now, granted, we do get older, but we have to understand that you're not always going to be able to carry the loads that you could before. But with me and my wife, we have one of those little Japanese beds, the floor mat beds.
Hmm.
And I'm in physical therapy. I'm in pain therapy, physical therapy right now. My body's a little messed up. I'm not gonna get into it, but he told me, he was like, it's pretty cool that you actually have that because you're teaching your body how to stand up. He's like, so when you get older, he's like, you should still be good on being able to do that because you've been doing it for so long. I was like, oh, he said, yeah. So for example, if you're walking every day, when you get older, you most likely will still be able to walk because that is something that you've been doing progressively for so long. It's like muscle memory, and you're keeping those muscles active and strong, being able to do that. So it's really, once we, correct me if I'm wrong, once we stop doing things is when we actually get halted in being able to do it. So if
Yeah.
you're always just sitting down playing video games or watching television, if it's time to get active, it's going to be very difficult.
Yes.
I love that. Can you walk us through a situation that really made you feel like, you know what, I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah, I call them mini miracles. And basically, what that is like, I have so many success stories. I was with, predominantly, we train individuals that are 55 and older. And every time we do something or we fix something, they call it a miracle. So I had a client that I was working with, her name's Irene, and her calves were cramping up so badly that she couldn't walk. And this was just like last week. And, all I did was I loosened them, and I did a few little stretches and basically showed her how to do it herself. And then she was able to walk. Like to her, it was a miracle. And she was like, "This is miraculous. I can walk again." And she was calling her daughter-in-law, and she was calling everybody and telling them that she could walk. And so, I mean, stuff like that. When I first started experiencing those, I call them mini miracles, was just let me know that I was in the right profession and I was doing the right thing. And so, once I kind of got that high of just being a part of that, then I was like, oh no, this is it. This is for me. And someday I'm going to bring this message to the world that anybody can do this.
Yeah, you're right. Anybody can do it. Again, it comes down to the mindset, how we talked about at the beginning when we were like, hey, the struggle is real, but ultimately you need to reach that turning point. And that turning point is going to help you with embracing the imperfections. And then when you are embracing those imperfections, then you'll start flowing more into the community by really realizing that no matter what you're doing, as you're working on yourself or loving yourself, there's always going to be people who are going to push you forward. I love anime. Don't judge if you're judging, for anybody who's watching this at the moment as I'm saying it. I'm a big kid now, and what? I wear pull-ups. Let me stop. But in Hajime no Ippo, he was out running, and there was this other little boy. He was running, and the little boy kept stopping. And there was one day, Ippo was running, and the little boy wasn't there. So then Ippo just kept running and running. He ended up seeing a little boy, and the little boy was walking. He was going to get some ice cream or something. Ippo ends up talking to him and was like, every day I've been seeing you running. Like, what happened? The boy was just like, it's just too hard. He was like, I'm just going to stay fat, pretty much. And Ippo was like, no. And then you end up seeing, I think Ippo ended up doing a champion tournament. He's a boxer, and he comes out, and the boy is in the stands. The boy looks cut, ripped, like, and ultimately, long story short, you probably know where it's going. The boy continued working out, ended up losing the weight, and he ended up looking at Ippo as motivation to get into boxing. So, I mean, no matter how you look, there's people who are in the gym who are like 300, 400 pounds, not in a good way, in the way that people would say is healthy. Because honestly, I don't think having all that muscle is healthy either. It's going to mess up your joints and all that stuff as you get older. But people root them on. People like, yo, you need a spot. They'll show them like proper ways to lift the weights and do the exercises and everything. Nobody's going to sit there and joke on you for wanting to get better.
Absolutely.
I mean, there may be some people, but that's their insecurities, and they're projecting how they feel internally onto you. And that is also another reason why it's important to love yourself, because there's so many people who don't like themselves, and there's a lot of bullies who will bully other individuals to make themselves feel better. If you have that love and that confidence in yourself, you can sit there and realize, be like, dang, you mad that my stomach look good and yours is a little chubby? It's okay. I'll help. I'll help you. I'll help you. This is the workouts that I'm doing. You want to try them with me? So, I mean, having confidence like that, how you stated earlier, that confidence, there's nothing wrong. I grew up in Hawaii. Majority of those motherfuckers are like huge. I got outran by some people to where it looked like when they were getting up and taking steps, Mount Makaliki was going to erupt. Like, I mean, but these individuals, you cannot let somebody's size, don't judge somebody's size and think that they're unhealthy, because there are individuals who just may have a thyroid problems where they just can't break down fat the way that other people can. Right. Or maybe their metabolism is a little slower and they are actually very healthy, but they just doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
There's people who look healthy or who are out of shape like crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Be
I'm
like
sorry, I
this
have to
small.
tell you, I have a hard ending at 3. About 3:30. My husband's got to get going to work. I have
Oh,
to take
okay.
baby.
Well, that with that, I just want to go ahead and ask you, what do you want to say to any listeners? And then we're going to end with gratitude and what you learned. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to invite everybody to download our free ebook. So I have a free ebook with everyone that has an introduction to the different exercises that I'm talking about. It has videos, recipes, food lists that you can download and shows you exactly what to buy. We also offer a first complimentary Zoom session, so that we can just help you get started on this journey. Because sometimes you can carry it on by yourself, and sometimes you just need a little start and a little push. And that's what we're here for. We're here, in person in San Diego and online all over the United States. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to, be with you today and to be with all of you. And thank you everyone for listening. For me personally, I have so much gratitude in my life for where my life is now, and the wonderful avenues that we have now with technology, and being able to spread this message to everyone, is just great. And I really appreciated your insight and everything that you had to say about bodies and beauty, and the blind people having the best perspective. It's so true.
Blessings. Much love and appreciated. I appreciate everybody who tuned in today. As always, it's amazing to have other people on the show to be able to speak about different topics, hear their different viewpoints, while at the same time educating all of us. Today, I'm learning that as you are getting older, yes, pain is something that we all go through. However, pain is reversible. We always stated in the past, pain is temporary, pride is forever. I feel that we need to take this pride and put that to the side to go ahead and get rid of this pain, because we spend our entire lives working, sacrificing our health for money to get older, and then now use all that money to try and get our health back. Ultimately, what we need to do is stop killing ourselves with all these pharmaceutical medicines, all these other things and extreme measures to try and fit a idea of beauty that is being pushed onto us just for the capital. But with it, this was another episode of Divine Time. Relax your mind. It's Divine Time. Hey, beautiful souls. If you love deep conversations about life, love, and spiritual growth, help us reach more like-minded people. Like, comment, and share to push these powerful episodes through the algorithm. Let's build a community that thrives on wisdom and connection. Find us everywhere. YouTube at Danli_Divine, Facebook and Kick at Divine Time Podcast, and also follow the blog divinetime.blog. If you're looking for your soul tribe, join our Telegram group, Warriors of Love. Together we rise.